Right, hi everybody. I'm going to make a start. Hopefully new attendees will join as we come and can catch up with the video after that. I'm Sally Garner-Gibbons. Welcome to the webinar. I'm really excited to talk to you today about the Creative Industries Production Manager Apprenticeship, which is a higher level apprenticeship that we started delivering at Chichester College in the last year, and we're looking to kind of share the practice and share the program with other employers as a way to kind of expand your organisation, and also just using this webinar as an opportunity to get the word out about the program, share our experiences so far. So I've got some wonderful stakeholders of the course with us today, an employer, an apprentice, and our wonderful trainer who looks after the program. And I'm going to let them have an opportunity to share with you this afternoon about the practice they have and the program and the benefits and how it works. Before we do that though, I'll explain my role. I'm the manager for creative apprenticeships at Chichester College. So I look after the whole plethora of creative offer for apprenticeships at Chichester College Group. And the production management apprenticeship is one that I deliver for the live arts. So I come from a theatre background, and my colleague Anita, who you'll meet later, delivers it for TV and film, and she comes from a TV and film production management background herself. I've been delivering apprenticeships at Chichester College for about 10 years now, and have an excellent track record with that. And Anita's been training and teaching in production management for a long time too, so she'll talk to you a little bit more about her background. I have a PowerPoint to share with you, which has some kind of key information about what apprenticeships are, because I'm aware that maybe some of you might not even have ever had apprentices before, and also about the program and about the kind of elements of the program that are going to be of benefit to you and hopefully be useful for you as we go forward. I'm just going to share my screen. Lovely. So my team who are in the chat will answer any questions for you as the program goes, if you have any technical difficulties. If you need to ask any questions about anything that I am talking about in the presentation, please pop that in the Q&A button at the bottom, and then I'll come to that at the end. So once we've all had an opportunity to share our experiences with you and complete the webinar, we'll come to the Q&A at the end of the session, and we'll answer any questions that you might have at the end there. Please note that the session is being recorded. I hope that's okay with all of you, but it also means that you can have a copy of the recording afterwards if you would like to have it as a reference beyond that. I think that's all. So I'll get started. So let's talk about production management apprenticeships at Chichester College. An apprenticeship, for those of you who are very new to this, is a way that a person can gain a qualification by having a full-time job. Essentially, it's earning a salary while they're studying instead of going to an institution like a university where they might have to pay to do their training and then go and look for a job afterwards. So an apprenticeship is a position within an organisation where the person trains as part of their job. The relationship at level 7, so this one, which is the production management apprenticeship, is that person actually has quite a high level position in the organisation. This is not an entry level apprenticeship. So this is not for somebody who is a school or college leaver. This is for somebody who is slightly further on in their career, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. The apprenticeship is a formal qualification. It's a recognised government qualification in the same way that a degree might be, or an A-level or a GCSE or anything like that. So it is a qualification that the apprentice can add to their CV and use as weight when they move on into the industry. Apprenticeships have had, over the years, kind of a bit of a rough ride, because at some points there's been a kind of misunderstanding that apprenticeships perhaps are an easy way to get a qualification. Perhaps they don't have the same weight as maybe a higher level qualification or an A-level or a degree. But actually there's been enormous reform in the apprenticeship programme. The government has done a huge swathe of changes to the apprenticeship programmes, and now they do carry quite a lot of weight. It's not easy to get through an apprenticeship. It's quite hard work. You do have to have a certain level of ability in order to kind of pass at the higher levels, and at this level particularly you need to have a certain level of experience in order to get it. So they're very highly sought after, higher level apprenticeships like this, and they are carrying a lot more kudos than apprenticeships used to. This one lasts for 2 years. Some apprenticeships can be as short as 12 months, others can be as long as 4 or 5 years, depending on whether there is an inbuilt degree with it. Our apprenticeship doesn't have a degree with it. It's expected that the apprentice might already have one. This is a management level higher apprenticeship. There's no cost to the apprentice. So unlike if they chose to go to drama school or university or other kind of further study, they would have to get a student loan to do that. To do an apprenticeship, there is no cost. The government covers the cost of the training to the training provider, which is us. It's also a really brilliant opportunity, not just for an external hire, but it's a fantastic opportunity for internal upskilling and progression. Lisa, who's one of our employers today, might talk a little bit about an offer that they're doing internally, but they've also had external candidates for the apprenticeship as well, which has been really useful. So the apprenticeship specifically needs to be directly related to the job that that person is doing in your industry or in your organisation. We're very aware that the television and film industry is incredibly broad, and there's a whole swathe of opportunities within television and film and short form production, where an apprentice could be placed as a production manager, and the way that job might work, it would be very different in one organisation from the other, but they do need to be working in that role that will cover all of the learning and the knowledge that's part of the apprenticeship, because a large portion of their training happens at work. When we plan the training, we have to use 3 areas of expertise that we will help share that with the apprentices, and those are known as the knowledge, skills and behaviours. All apprenticeships are broken up into knowledge, skills and behaviours, and we've created a full kind of swathe of modules for the apprentices to study that will help embed the knowledge, skills and behaviours that they'll be learning in the workplace. It's important to note that this standard and many of the new standards have been written by industry experts. Somewhere deeper in my PowerPoint, I actually have a list of the organisations that helped to write this apprenticeship, so that you can understand that it's useful and valuable for the industry as a whole. The idea of an apprenticeship is that it meets the needs of the employer. So you might have a gap in your organisation. There might be a global skills gap for production management. Or you might have a gap in your organisation particularly, and an apprenticeship is a fantastic way of kind of plugging that gap, but also building and shaping a person to work in your organisation for you, and also to kind of expand offers for the industry. The training at Chichester, as I said earlier, is delivered by an industry expert in production management, and myself. I do a lot of the core modules, or some of the core modules, as I say, I've been working in production management and apprenticeships for a very long time. And the good news about working with Chichester College is we're an outstanding apprenticeship provider. Now, for some of you, you may or may not kind of understand the weight that Ofsted carries. But for us in apprenticeships, when Ofsted came to visit us, they did a deep dive into our apprenticeship offer, particularly into the creative area. And they still awarded us an outstanding, which is not that easy to achieve. So I think it's important to know that the quality of the provision will be excellent as well. So who can be an apprentice? Well, I'm going to talk specifically about a creative industries production manager apprentice, so a television and film production manager. This is not the same for all apprenticeships, because in some apprenticeships you can be a very young person who's just come out of school or college. That's not appropriate for this apprenticeship. For this apprenticeship, really, it would suit a university leaver, someone who might have done film or television production or media in some way at university, or maybe something else creative and are hoping to move out of maybe the theatre world into the media world, or someone who has got another sort of creative degree and they're feeling like they want to move into to film and television. So this is an opportunity for somebody who's already kind of established themselves and has a good understanding of creative industries generally. It could be for somebody who's looking for a career change. So perhaps that's somebody in a different area in the film and television world and wants to move into production. It could be from somebody who's coming from a different world. So for example, from the theatre world, or from perhaps, you know, another kind of creative industry, maybe audiovisual, something like that, and wants to move into film and TV. This apprenticeship is a great way for them to get that kind of foot on the ladder where they have the support to do it, but they're not quite ready to take that leap independently yet. Or usefully, it could be someone who is already employed in the industry, somebody who already works as a production assistant or a production coordinator, and is really looking forward to that step up and hoping to make that leap into production management. So it's a really useful thing for somebody who's got a wealth or a kind of breadth of experience behind them, and it's a great way to move into this higher level, almost sort of personnel management role in the organisation. It's a very new apprenticeship standard, so everybody who's delivering the standard at the moment, there aren't that many providers who are doing it. All of us are kind of finding our feet with it. We're lucky in that we've been delivering apprenticeships for a very long time, so the kind of process for the apprenticeship is very well established. But this standard is quite new, and we're currently developing all the kind of training programs and packages for the apprenticeship standard. But it's really exciting, and there's been a real buzz about it in the industry so far. It's meeting the needs of a growth industry, particularly since COVID. Sorry to mention the C word, but we've seen, or you have seen in the television and film industry, I think, a huge uplift in the work that is available and the way that practices can make work. And this is meeting that need. This is hopefully going to plug some gaps where there isn't enough production managers to go around. Here's the list of the organisations that worked on the kind of creation of the standard. So you can see by looking at that list that there is some weight to it, and that it was written by people who work in the industry and who understand it. So the learning outcomes have been written by industry professionals like yourselves, not us as educators. There are 4 pathways. So we at Chichester currently deliver 2 of those pathways. So we do the TV and film pathway, which is what we're talking about today. We do the live arts pathway as well for theatre and live performance art. There are 2 other pathways, one which is production accounting, and the other one which is for post-production and animation. As far as I'm aware, nobody's delivering those yet because there hasn't been that much interest, but we'd be very interested to hear if people are particularly interested in those pathways as well. And we can deliver this anywhere in the UK. If you live in the nations, or if you come from the nations outside of England, the programme would have to be funded commercially, so that would have to be paid for out of your internal budgets, but it is possible to award the qualification outside of the UK, outside of England in the wider UK. I'll tell you a little bit about the bones of the programme, just so you understand how it works. It's a 24-month training programme at the moment, and that is the full length of the training programme. If we find that somebody interviews for it and perhaps they've already done a bit, so here we go. Oh, it's recording again, marvellous. Oh, so this is a little image to show you how beautifully outstanding we are, and then that's our lovely little logo. So that's us, that's me, Chichester College offer of the apprenticeships. I hope that was interesting. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Anita, who is our industry expert and our trainer, who I can see Ebony giving a big smile when she heard Anita's name, because Anita's fabulous. Anita, can I hand over to you and you can talk a little bit about your experiences so far with us on the programme?
Certainly. Thanks, Sally. That was great. Hello, everyone. Really pleased to be here today. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself and my industry experience, and also my academic experience, and a little bit about my experience of Chichester as well. So I've come through the production management route right from the start of my career. I was trained at the BBC many years ago. I've worked at the BBC, I've worked at ITV, I've worked in independent production companies. So I've bobbed around quite a bit. I've done most of the jobs in the production management career ladder. I started off as a production secretary. I've been a production coordinator. I did quite a lot of live gallery work as a script supervisor. I've been a production manager, a unit manager, a production exec, and a head of production in an independent production company. So it's really been my passion, production management. I did deviate for a while as a researcher in AP, but the editorial wasn't for me, as it isn't for some people. I really enjoy the production management area of things. As I say, I've been in and out of the BBC 4 times. The last time I was at the BBC, it was a slightly different role. I was the head of production talent for BBC Sport. So I looked after all their recruitment and the training and development of staff there as well. So I left the BBC last year, and since then I've been training, not just with Chichester, but quite a number of organisations. So running alongside my career as a production management person, I've also worked in universities and as a trainer as well. So I devised and developed the first and only production management degree course, which is delivered at Edge Hill University. and I worked there as a programme leader, as a senior lecturer there for a number of years until I left there and handed that over. I also ran my own company for a number of years, and part of that company was a training sort of section of it, and we won a national training award for a scheme we did within the media as well. So I'm qualified as a lecturer, and I'm also CIPD qualified as a trainer as well. So that's run alongside my career as a production manager. So for me, the apprenticeship scheme is absolutely ideal because it takes my passion for production management combined with my skills to train and my lecturing skills as well. And sort of finally from me, why Chichester? I mean, I have to say, as Sally knows, I think it's just the most fantastic place. You can absolutely see why it is outstanding. The support that I've had, that the apprentices get, that the employers get, I mean, it's holistic support. It's absolutely fantastic. The communication is great. Everybody knows where they stand, any problems, anything at all. You know, people such as Sally, and there's so many people, you hear from Sam, all sorts of people that work there have been absolutely fantastic. So I'm here, you know, to sort of let you know how good this is. And I also think as well, having trained for screen skills, all sorts of places, that the apprenticeship is just terrific because people are in the industry, they're learning and they're training in the industry, but they're also getting training outside of that. But it all links together. For me, it's the best sort of training because it makes sense. It doesn't stand alone. So what I do, I know, doesn't stand alone. That it all fits into one, and we're all aiming for the same thing. The employers, myself, Sally, Chichester, and the apprentices are all aiming to get them this qualification, which is absolutely fantastic. So that's it from me.
Oh, Anita, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. And we love having you on the programme. So thank you. I'd like to let Lisa talk now. Lisa is one of our employers from the BBC, looks after the apprentices there. Lisa, I'd love you to just talk a little bit about why you chose to do the apprenticeship and the kind of value that it brings to your organisation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm really pleased to be here. As Sally introduced me, my name's Lisa Burton and I'm the apprenticeship manager for the production management schemes at the BBC. The reason why we chose to be involved in this apprenticeship is because we recognised that there was industry shortage of production management talent within the industry, and we took a really proactive role in the creation of this standard. Yeah, we were involved in this standard from the outset, and we were part of the employers group that helped develop this standard. With I think Sally kind of mentioned it previously in her slide deck. So the benefits to us in terms of having this apprenticeship is huge. We recognise as a company that apprentices are the way to get new and fresh ideas and thoughts into the business. We're really keen to develop people and kind of shape people and kind of teach our apprentices the way that the BBC works. It's a fantastic standard in the way in the fact that, as Anita was talking earlier, it's a way of ensuring that your apprentice at the end of their apprenticeship has a well-rounded experience and that they are fully qualified to take on the role of a production manager. You can kind of rest assured that, you know, there aren't any gaps in their knowledge because the standard is very thorough. So in terms of kind of working with Chichester College, I mean, I just kind of want to repeat what Anita said, really. I know as an employer, I'm not from an educational background. That isn't my forte. I do have a production management background, but apprenticeships before I started in this role were completely new to me. So it can be quite daunting, the idea of having to work with academics and making sure that you are supporting your apprentice fully during their kind of journey. But what I will say about Chichester is they really break it down for you, and I'm going to say they hold your hand through the entire process, so nothing is a shock. Everything is super clear, and it's broken down in really manageable chunks, so that you as the employer feel supported and you're not letting your apprentice down. And I think that can be a worry for many employers in terms of, are we giving them the right experience for them to pass their apprenticeship? And I can say with confidence that we are giving them the right experience, and that's through the guidance that Chichester College give us. So generally that's kind of so not only, so I just want to explain the kind of benefits that you could use the apprenticeship for. So we do entry-level apprenticeships. Now, as Sally has said, this particular standard isn't an entry-level apprenticeship, and it's been really beneficial to have this standard within the BBC because it attracts career changers. And again, we get the benefit of bringing people into the BBC who have had previous careers, and they can bring in those skills and their ways of working and their ways of thinking that can really change the way that we kind of help change our processes for the better. And it's a really good way to have a really healthy kind of workplace when you've got lots of different kinds of thoughts. The other way that we're hoping to develop is to use it as kind of career development for our internal staff. We know that production management, as you all may know, have really transferable skills, and we want to really utilise the skills that people already have and kind of give them the media knowledge bit so that they can bring those skills to the job family of production management. So that's what we're working with very closely with Chichester College to see if we can get that to work. But it's a really good way to develop your staff. So I think that's everything that I want to say, Sally. So I'm going to hand back to you.
That's amazing. Thank you, Lisa. That's brilliant. Yeah, it's been a brilliant journey actually. And we'll listen to Ebony now. So Ebony is one of our first apprentices who is part of a cohort that started with us earlier this year. This academic year. And yeah, Ebony, tell us a little bit about your journey so far.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ebony Pascal and I'm a career changer. So I started the apprenticeship after 12 years in further education as a curriculum operations manager. And I'd done my bit. I'd got us from a grade 4 to a grade 2, and actually just kind of jumping a little bit, working in a grade 2 college, which is good, and then coming to Chichester, which is outstanding. You can completely understand why, and I feel very privileged to be a student here because I feel like I'm having an experience both internally with the BBC, but most importantly off the job, where I'm loving my classes. Anita's absolutely so knowledgeable. I feel like every time I go to a session, it lights up that fire where I come back to the BBC and I'm like, oh, let me do this, let me do that, and I get really excited because she's almost navigating that ability for me to almost step up very quickly. So yeah, I mean, the experience so far has been amazing, and I think changing your career is quite scary, but what has been amazing about this particular apprenticeship is it doesn't feel daunting to go back after 12 years and not studying. I felt like I could step straight into the level 7 because of the way that it's just so organized. You know what you've got to do, you know what the criteria is from day one, you know where you're leading to, and it's really nice to both come to the BBC and also at Chichester, where you can bring your authentic self somewhere where you can actually bring all of those skills and you feel really valued, both from the college and also from your employee. I've been here now since September, and I've just moved portfolios, and already today I've had a conversation with my line manager, who's the PM of 5 different portfolios, about the opportunities to perhaps take a line of budget to run a particular project, which is really amazing to say. I've only been here 9 months, and a lot of that's been training, but my last portfolio, I think it really hit home how much the course almost gives you straight away that opportunity to step into junior PM role, because they were really sad to leave me, and I've almost had to give a three-week handover, because I didn't even realize, by gathering all this portfolio of evidence, I've become so ingrained in the team that I've already kind of taken a lead on things, and they've now realized, oh, she's gone, and we've invented all these processes that I didn't realize we'd done, but we'd done because of the level of study that I'm at, and I'm always asking those questions and always going back and saying, have we thought about doing this, have we thought about doing that? But another amazing thing is the fact that we're all spread across the country, and the way that the sessions are done online. My first thought was, oh, we're going to be online, oh no, am I going to cope with that? And actually it's been incredible, because we've got students that are working for indies who do things in a very different way, students that are working on high-end dramas, and then, you know, you've got myself working in education. We all work so differently, and we bounce off each other to come up with ideas. And I know that Reese, one of my colleagues on the call, he works for an independent indie, and you know, we just mentioned Smartsheets as a production management tool, and it was just so nice to see. He was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try that, and vice versa. He does so much creative production work that actually inspired me to go and get further experience here and get my camera out. And you know, that's the amazing thing, that you can, the journey with Chichester, it just feels like it's really never ending, and I feel really confident already 9 months in that I will be able to apply for junior PM roles, if not PM roles, by the time I'm done. So I can't say any, you know, I just think it's fantastic, and I think I'm really grateful for the opportunity, because I wouldn't have felt confident to change my career in the way that I've done it. And you know, I feel really proud actually that I'm going to come out of this, and hopefully with a distinction is the aim, to, you know, and come out with a qualification as well as actual real hands-on experience. So yes, thank you Sally, thank you Chichester, it's been amazing, and the BBC obviously, and Anita, all of you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you, Ebony. That's so great. And actually you touched on something really brilliant there, which is one of the benefits, I think, of an apprenticeship at this level is the autonomy that you get as part of the role. So the ability to kind of take what you're learning and then shape it into your apprenticeship at work. It's trickier to do that at the lower levels, but the wonderful thing about this is that you get to be able to go, actually, I'd like to try this out, and then have an opportunity to do that. And hopefully your project will give you an opportunity to really put all of those skills together. That's brilliant. But so lovely to hear you talking so positively about the experience. Hopefully that's inspiring for others. It certainly is for me. I think I might give up my job and come do an apprenticeship. I don't know how that would work. Right, finally, last but not least at all, I'd like to just hand over to my colleague Sam, who's our account executive and manages all of the processes involved with signing you up and recruitment and supporting the kind of policies and procedures around getting you involved. So she's going to talk about the complicated bones of doing what we do, and then we'll have some time to do a Q&A at the end. Sam.
Thank you, Sally, for passing over. So, hi everyone. My name's Sam. I'm an account executive for the Chichester College Group. I just want to thank you first, obviously, for joining us today. We at the Chichester College Group have such a vision and drive for our creative sector, and we are so excited to be spreading the news of this professional level apprenticeship to support new talent and, as Sally has said, upskill those looking to change career paths within the industry. So Sally's my partner in crime. As I'm sure you can see, she's very passionate, and my role at the college is to support and guide employers and students alike to get ready to the point of the apprenticeship start date. So I just want to take this opportunity to highlight some key points of this journey for you, so you're better understanding of expectations and needs to be able to meet apprenticeship supporting requirements whilst meeting those government's set funding rules. So for this course, it's recommended you employ the apprentice for a minimum of 40 hours a week. This is to include their set day for college work. This is obviously higher than the national expectations due to this being a master equivalent apprenticeship. So it's just making sure they have that key time to actually delve into their job roles and responsibilities and making sure they're hitting all those higher level standards so they're ready to go out into that working environment. So you must pay your employee through PAYE. So if you don't have that, as a college, we help you set this up. PAYE is short for pay as you earn. It is a method through which the UK Tax Authority, Revenue and Customs collects pay income tax via monthly payroll. So for an apprentice, as Sally said, there is no cost to the apprenticeship learner. Any costs will be covered by the employer or by government funding. So if you're an employer and you have 50 or more employees, or are employing an apprentice over the age of 19 without an educational health and care plan, then you are likely to pay a 5% towards the training costs. So for this apprenticeship, that's £8,000. So a 5% contribution towards this course will cost £400. So if you're an employer with an apprenticeship levy, i.e. if your payroll exceeds 3 million, then you will pay the full amount of £8,000 from your levy account. So I don't know if you guys know what a levy pot is, some people don't. So the levy pot was put in place by the government to promote and be used solely for apprenticeships. If this money doesn't get used for an apprenticeship yearly, then the government keeps that money, which is obviously sacrilege, and we don't want that. We obviously want to be using all resources available to us that help us towards employment and development. So if you're not sure if you have a levy account, or if you have not accessed this before, then our teams are there to help you achieve this. Again, please highlight this only applies to businesses that have an annual payroll of 3 million. So throughout the process, you'll be sent a preliminary quote and final quote with any costings that are relevant to you, whether you are levy, non-levy payer. So there are no hidden costs. Literally, it is step by step. We say it how it is. No surprises for you. So you'll also need an apprenticeship service account. If you've had apprentices before, you will already have this set up. If you don't, again, this is another area we can help you with. So this apprenticeship service account basically helps you create adverts, accept employment agreements with the Department of Education, and give account access to people within your organisation. It also gives you the opportunity to give training providers like us permissions to do things on your behalf. So we can create your adverts and reserve funding for you to literally help you through that process as well. So don't be scared at any point. We are here to help. Once you've given us permissions to advertise, we will send you a vacancy template. It's always good to highlight what makes you unique as a business why the apprenticeships come to you. We can advertise through our website and through the apprenticeship service that is connected to the government apprenticeship platform. We always recommend advertising through your normal means to capture a wider audience as well, because obviously if people are local to you, they know what you're about, they may already have ambitions to be with you in that career path. So it's always good to do that as well. So the apprenticeship market is a competitive one, and we always ask you to consider wage amounts to reflect the current climate and level of responsibility given to this role to draw in the correct candidate pool for this position. Obviously, this is higher level. It's a master's level that, as you heard from Ebony, she has a lot of responsibility already. So we want to be making sure that we are giving a proper wage for those individuals to set them right in their world of learning and working, and obviously living as well. So as part of a process as well, you must have employer liability insurance. We require in-date certificates for your account while you apply for an apprenticeship and throughout the time the apprentice is with you in the workplace. You'll also be visited by our health and safety team to ensure your working environment is meeting the standards needed for the student being there. A health and safety procedure form will need to be completed to go against your account and all your records. So this is mandatory. So we definitely need this in from you. Again, we do this step by step. So if you're a new employer, you'll have to attend an induction with our curriculum team. This is to welcome you to the Chichester College Group and to talk through our deliverance and the expectations of you, the employer, and the student mentor, because obviously they're with you most of the time, and this is really important for us to guide you through and put forward what is needed on your side of things and make sure you can actually deliver it in your working environments. So for this, we undergo an employer vocational initial assessment. So these are there to help us understand your working environment, sorry, apologies. Understand your working environment to ensure a bespoke deliverance that enhances your learners' experience and positive impact on your business. As I'm sure you can imagine, this apprenticeship suits a wide range of settings. So we're currently working with TV studios, theatres, football clubs, even circuses. So it's like it is everywhere. And so it's really important for us to pinpoint that training need and setting at the initial stages to gauge where we're going with this apprenticeship route for you. So all learners will undergo a vetting process and curriculum interview to ensure they meet the entry requirements while building towards their own training tailored plan. A learning A learner will need to have achieved their English and Maths in a 4-4 or CC, if you're a bit older like me, it's CC, to be accepted onto the apprenticeship, and proof of this will be required at the start of the learner application. Other relevant and prior knowledge can be varied. Obviously, people come from all different backgrounds. They might have gone to uni, they might have done college courses, they might have been in the industry for 60 odd years. All of these will be assessed on an individual basis to ensure the candidate is suited for the pathway, and making sure that we are creating the best pathway for them to gain this qualification. So I'm really sorry. So I bet your brains are fried now. I know it's a lot of information, and I don't expect you to obviously retain that all. But please don't panic. My team is here to break this down step by step. If you join us, we literally feed it through to you in stages. So it's not like have it all. We do that for you. Any questions, obviously, we're always there to answer those too. I will give you these points that I've given today as part of a written document after this with the webinar that Sally's done for you, and we've also got our contact information, so please reach out to us. We are here for any step of the way. Any extra questions, obviously you take this away and you want to talk to other people, and they come up with questions that you didn't think about at the time, we'll more than happily go through those with you. Thank you, and back to Sally.
Thank you, Sam. That's brilliant. And that is honestly, that is a whistle-stop tour of all of the processes that can be really tricky. I think Sam is an expert in making sure that, you know, anybody that we engage with knows how to get through it. The government doesn't make it easy for us. We have tons and tons of hoops that we have to jump through in order to get apprentices on board and access that levy funding. Yeah, that's kind of where we are. I'm just going to have a look and see if there's anything in the Q&A. Not at the moment. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to ask? I've got a couple of things I want to clarify, but if anybody has any questions about what they've heard today or any questions for any of the panelists, do let me know. Well, hopefully it's because we've covered everything so brilliantly and there are no questions left. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things that might be questions for you perhaps when you leave the webinar, and you might want to kind of talk about it, hopefully with your colleagues, about the process. Just to clarify the funding element of it, so as Sam said, that if you're a small business, so if you don't have a pay bill of over £3 million, which is when you then start paying into your levy fund, you are liable for about 5% of the training costs. So for this apprenticeship, it's £400, but it's £400 over the 2 years. So it's kind of very easy to fit into your budgets, and apart from the salary for the apprentice, really the cost of the training is very minimal comparatively. There could be other costs attached to it that you might want to include for your apprentice, so you might think it's worth sending them on specific training that's relevant to your organisation, and that will have to come at a cost to your organisation. The training that comes through the programme is all delivered by Chichester College, and we get the funding directly from your levy pot, or if you pay your contribution, we also get the rest of the funding from the government. You can have more than one apprentice at any one time. I think that's important to note. So if you want to take on apprentices in production management, you can take on as many as you like at any one point, as long as you have a kind of mentor who's able to support that group of apprentices. That will be a really great opportunity for them to be a part of a little group doing an apprenticeship in one organisation. I know Ebony really values having other apprentices to bounce things off. The timeline. So we have an intake a couple of times a year, and they will slot into the programme wherever it might be in terms of its modules. So at the moment we're recruiting for our September intake. So we've got organisations considering recruitment around about late July, August time. However, you can slot into the programme as late as sort of October, November, if that recruitment timeline is too soon. And then we will look at another intake in the new year, sometimes around Easter, for the next intake. So we'd be very interested to hear from anybody who'd like to take on apprentices and just have a go at it. That's it. I can't see that there have been any other questions that have come up. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Hold on, I'm looking at the wrong one. Let's look at Q&A. No, there's no questions there. So I'll just thank everybody for coming, particularly to my special guests, but also the attendees. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing the word about what we do. I'd love you all to take this information out into the field, so that we can offer apprentices, across the industry, across the nation, because it'd be really exciting to kind of build production management really for the industry. from within. You know, it's a wonderful way to make sure that you're training up someone who can work the way you work in your organisation. And I think that's all that's left for me to say. Thank you very much, everybody.